The Beatles, composed of John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, have left an indelible mark on music history. Even though the band's original career spanned just a decade, their influence has extended far beyond their 1960s heyday, permeating almost every corner of modern music. From pop to rock, hip-hop to electronica, their innovative approaches to songwriting, recording techniques, and artistic expression continue to inspire artists across genres and generations. In fact, the sound of contemporary music would be unrecognizable without the Beatles' monumental contributions. The Beatles were pioneers in redefining what popular music could be. They took what started as a British twist on American rock and roll and turned it into a global phenomenon. But their artistry went far beyond catchy melodies and charming harmonies. Each Beatles album demonstrated growth, risk, and reinvention. Early songs like She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand embraced a buoyant innocence, but as time passed, they evolved their sound into deeper, more complex expressions of human emotion. Albums like Revolver and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band pushed boundaries in terms of instrumentation and lyrical content, standards for how albums could be conceived as complete, cohesive artistic statements. Their influence on modern music is most evident in the way they popularized the idea that bands could write and perform their own material. Before the Beatles, it was common for singers to rely on professional songwriters for hits. But Lennon and McCartney's songwriting partnership showed that musicians could be in control of their artistic vision. Today, it's almost expected that artists write their own songs, a standard that many trace back to the Beatles. The band also revolutionized the way music was recorded. They experimented with multi-track recording, sound effects, and tape loops to create immersive soundscapes. George Martin, often referred to as the fifth Beatle, helped bring their ideas to life in the studio. Modern producers still use many of the techniques the Beatles developed, including reverse tape effects, double-tracked vocals, and innovative microphone placement. Their fearless experimentation in the studio gave rise to what we now call psychedelic music, and shaped genres that rely heavily on production, such as hip-hop and electronic music. Lyrically, the Beatles elevated pop music to a higher plane by infusing their songs with introspection and philosophical themes. Tracks like Across the Universe and Let It Be delve into spirituality and personal reflection. This paved the way for the emotional vulnerability that has become a hallmark of modern songwriting. Artists today, from Billie Eilish to Taylor Swift, craft deeply personal narratives in their lyrics, a practice normalized by the emotional honesty the Beatles embraced. The ripple effect of the Beatles' work extends beyond the music itself. They became a cultural force, shifting norms around fashion, politics, and social consciousness. Their songs reflected and often shaped the zeitgeist of the 1960s, with tracks like Revolution and Come Together becoming anthems for social change. This legacy of using music as a medium for social commentary lives on, with contemporary musicians continuing to address political issues through their art. Modern bands and artists openly credit the Beatles as a source of inspiration. Oasis, Radiohead, and Coldplay, for example, have drawn heavily from their sound, not just musically, but in the way they approach their careers. Even in genres far removed from the Beatles' original sound, such as hip-hop and EDM, the band's influence is still present. Kanye West has cited Paul McCartney as a key inspiration, even collaborating with him on tracks like Only One. Samples of Beatles songs have appeared in hip-hop, cementing the band's relevance across multiple styles of music. Moreover, the rise of concept albums in genres like progressive rock and even hip-hop owes a debt to Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Albums like Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon and Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly follow the blueprint of creating thematic, narrative-driven records, something the Beatles pioneered. These artists, like the Beatles before them, challenge listeners to think of albums as experiences rather than mere collections of songs. Even today, the Beatles continue to resonate with young audiences. Streaming platforms have introduced a new generation to their music, and re-releases of albums like Abbey Road and The White Album have topped charts decades after their original release. The longevity of their influence is a testament to the timelessness of their music and the universality of the themes they explored. Whether through the melodies that become earworms, the groundbreaking studio innovations that still shape production techniques, or the spirit of experimentation that runs through the veins of modern music, the Beatles remain a guiding light. The Beatles' influence is not just about nostalgia, but about the future of music itself. Their ability to push creative boundaries set a precedent that continues to inspire artists to break new ground. As music evolves, the spirit of the Beatles, one of curiosity, exploration, and fearlessness, remains a constant thread running across the universe of modern music.